Come up just a little bit, like right here. Okay, we're live. This is BEAU'D Not Broken, the Daily Bend, and I'm here with Christi, and we're in a park in Draper, and we haven't had the Daily Bend show for a while, but we're back on. We're going to be doing some more shows, and I wanted Christi to tell her story of what has happened to her. You know, whatever she wants to say and tell. It varies. I've never met. I haven't met yet the female version of me over the last 3 years, so it's kind of interesting, her story. And so remember, we're on Periscope Live. We download these to BEAU'DNotBroken.com, and I throw them on Facebook and things like that. This is you telling your story, and so if anybody out there is interested in telling their story in the way they want to tell it, about their adversities, struggles, successes, things like that. Remember, we're all BEAU'D, not broken, and that's the reason why we're doing this Daily Bend show. So, Christi, thanks for being with me and being on the show, and tell everybody a little about your story. As she laughs,
It's kind of ironic just because you don't think you're ever going to be in this situation, but here we are. I've grown up in Sandy and Draper my whole life, and I'm a single mom of 5 kids. I worked at some apartment complexes. I had a job, the job fell through. I had to be moved out, so then I put all my stuff in storage, and then I didn't have a place to go because I now don't have a job, and so I've been kind of just hanging out with like friends or nights here and there, but mostly in my car.
Right, and this is your car behind us. Wanted that as a backdrop. That is your life, and you, not to take from your story, but you plot out where you're going to go to the bathroom, and you plot out where you're gonna be for the night, and sometimes it's hot and sometimes it's cold.
Yep. And
so you're part of a group that actually is growing, that I've been talking about for quite a while, and I call it the Walmart crowd, where you used to be able to be at Walmart and used to be able to stay overnight in Walmart for 72 hours, and then you had to move locations or Walmarts every 3 days. Have you done some of that? Have you done, so you, go ahead.
You get your routine pretty quick, so I would get up, hit about 7 o'clock before people kind of start seeing where I'm at, head over to Walmart, sit under a tree, kind of get dressed, get my makeup on, hurry and go and use their bathroom, get food there. I'm more lower on income instead of wanting to go out and eat.
Did you see other people of your sort there?
You do. I was there one time and I saw a man, he had blankets up in his windows, and so when you are presented with a situation, you actually see more people that are in it because your eyes become more open to what's around you. Luckily, I was thinking this morning when I was at Walmart that I was putting on my makeup and getting dressed, and I'm like, I'm glad maybe nobody knows what I'm doing because I didn't notice before. But now that I'm open, now that I'm experiencing it, I see it more prevalent. But this morning I'm like, oh good, maybe they don't realize what I'm doing. But I just thought, wow, it's just amazing what, once you're exposed to something, what you become open to. And, just seeing, like, I've seen a single man, I've seen a woman with 2 dogs, just sleeping in their car at Walmart. I usually go pick a street in a neighborhood because I don't like the exposure. I get a little scared because I like to open my windows at night because it does get really hot.
Right.
But yeah, it's amazing. And then you just kind of find your daily routine of, okay, let's go to the bathroom at this place. Let's see, I can get my big cup of ice over at Holiday Oil and for free, and yeah.
Big cup of ice and find out all the cheapy places. You're watching the Daily Bend on the BEAU'D Not Broken network, and we're talking to Christi about homelessness. And you're not the typical homeless person. You're not the person we're coming to you from Draper, Utah, up in Salt Lake City, and throughout this valley and other valleys in this state in Utah. There are a lot of homeless people that don't particularly go to the shelters. They might be in between that, the issues of addiction and unemployment and things like that. They might be people that have been divorced. They might be people that have lost jobs, lost contact with family. Predicaments that are very real for this latest round of the middle class. Why do you live? I guess the question, a lot of people be out there going, well, you can change your circumstance.
Yeah.
Why hasn't your circumstance changed? And why do you choose? Well, first, why do you choose to live like this right now?
Yeah, people can say it's a choice, but I think it was a matter of situations that kind of got me to this point. It's not something I planned.
Right.
Living in my car, because when you don't have a job, you can't just go pick somewhere to live. And my car has just been my only source. It's my home. It's my get around. What's your other question? What was the other? I'm like,
why do you continue to live this way?
Well,
Is it obviously it's a choice. You could, max out a credit card, or you could do whatever and try and get a place. But then again, a lot of people don't realize that there is a population of people that do live like this.
Yeah. Because I've never had credit, I don't have any source of income coming in. So I'm trying to look for jobs and everything, but it's really hard, because then you think, oh, if I get a job, then it's just like, you don't feel adequate and prepared enough to get a job. So it's just a struggle, but it's just harder versus, if you had everything going for you, versus when it's not. There's a lot more challenges that come with it, but you just have to fight harder for it. But you don't give up, or you'll always be here. I feel like we're kind of like in the first stages. Okay, we have our car, we can still get around, but we're staying in it, versus to where if I lose my car, then I'm completely on the streets. Then I'm walking around, and then that's when you kind of see the panhandlers.
Right.
Then once you see the panhandlers, then you see the people who've even given up on that and go to the homeless shelter because they don't want to stand and work for their money. So I see where it takes you, but you just have to keep fighting. So I'm just in fighting mode of trying to.
I think that's a great way of summing it up. There are a few levels to the whole idea of homelessness and employment. And if you appear to me, and when I met you, you appear to me someone that wants to work, that wants to get out of this situation, and will eventually, but she has a great attitude about it. And share that. Where does that attitude come from? Where do you see yourself, eventually?
That's really hard, because that's slowly fading.
Well, it might as well be real, right? Might as well be real.
You try and stay with a good attitude. Like today, I was struggling a little bit, but.
And what was the struggle? What went through your mind?
It's just like, what am I fighting so hard for? I have 5 kids, and I got to support them. They're with their ex, but at the same time, it's like, I want to be their mom. So it's like, they keep you going, and they keep your motivation, because you don't want to live like this. It's hard for them too to see. It's like, wow, my mom's homeless.
Right.
And so it's just like, you just got to keep saying, I don't want to be here. So my plan is, I'm going to get out of it. However, my thing is, it's just like, I'm the person who, I wanted to help people. I wanted to motivate. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I wanted to do the things that are going to get people out of where we're at.
Right.
Because no one deserves to be here.
Right.
And it's just like, so it's just trying to.
And you're not, she's not batshit crazy. Pardon the analogy. You don't have bouts. Real bad bouts of mental illness or other types of things that might keep you from doing some of the things that you would want to do. You're healthy enough, things like that. So it's the kids that keep you going, and the potential of getting out of this.
Yeah.
I did ask the question about what have you learned I guess what are you learning now, and what would you told me that here I'm changing thoughts. Sorry, I'm not a very good interviewer. Changing thoughts. You have done something that I haven't heard of that I would love to do, but you wrote many of the communities around here, and what did you write them about?
I wrote to about several mayors asking if there was a place that they could have in their community that would be like a parking lot that would have, it could be gated, it could be whatever, but access to those who need it. But it would like have a bathroom, it would have a shower, because when you're homeless, you're like, where am I going to shower? Where am I going to go to the bathroom? If you're not close or whatever. But the nighttime is the worst, because around about 10 o'clock I'll start searching for a place. So I told the mayors, I have just witnessed so many cars just sporadically, and I'm like, I know that I'm not the only one driving around 10 o'clock at night trying to figure out where I'm going to sleep. Right. I'll sit at a place and say, oh no, this isn't good enough, I don't feel secure, and go drive somewhere else. But if there was a place that people could come, hang out, have a pavilion so they can get out of their cars, take a shower, go to the bathroom, and have that place that they know that they're secure, that they're not going to be targeted by people who are, people who want to break in cars, police asking them to leave or whatever, that it's that designated area for them. It would just take a lot of stress and anxiety out of one's life who isn't living the other life. Right, and it's not like you're going to party and you're going to throw, you're going to have men all around. It's not, I guess it's something, it's a thought, it's a theory that really needs to be looked at, because there are good people that are homeless that would not create any more problems than the normal park goer. Yeah. And maybe current, I know for myself that if current park bathrooms are open a little bit later, that definitely helps. Yeah. You don't have to go to Walmart, 24-hour Walmart, things like that. I think that's very admirable. I hope that you'll continue, to press. You've had one mayor get back to you and say, that's an interesting thing. And I'm not taking the words out of your mouth, but I think he acknowledged that he knew that there were more than just your, we used to call them skid row bums. We used to call them hobos. We used to call them, vagrants is what we used to call them. You're not a vagrant. I'm not a vagrant. There are a lot of people that aren't that way. They have jobs. They have a car. They're just on that. They're on that cusp of either totally failing or totally making it back into the economy. I hope you'll continue. I hope you'll continue that. Tell me about happy and sad. What you were really emotional there for a minute, and it was when you were talking about your kids. I think that so when you're at the lowest of the low, we're going to kind of transition. What's been the lowest of the low for you? Is there a moment in time, or has there been a week in time? Is it now? Tell us a little bit about that. I've hit many, many, many lows where I think it can't get worse than this. And those are some words I've actually taken out of my vocabulary, because it can get worse. Yeah. So you never want to say it can't, because it will. So I've actually hit some low. I'm pretty healthy in my mindset, but I've had some times where I just can't fight anymore. And so it's actually taken me some time, or at times where it took everything I had not to crash my car or do anything, because it's like, it's just too much. And then after I'm through with it, then I'm glad. And
you're talking about suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we have a major effort with, but we won't stop there. Yeah. So you've been in dark places.
Yeah. Many times. So.
What pulls you out? What pulls you out?
Because I know that this isn't the end of my story. I know that this is just a moment in time. And my biggest thing, again, it's emotional, it's my kids, but I want to see them grow up. And I want to see them live their life. And I want to be with them. But sorry.
Right. No, you're okay. You're okay. I think that that's a good transition to, you've written a book. You've read several books. One of them's been published. It's in like Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
What's it called?
You Are Needed.
You are needed. And what's your basic topics in that book?
Well, it's written more for people who suffer from depression or suicidal thoughts. It's just based on them finding their own purpose in life, that they're not alone, that people go through this, and it's to encourage them. I wrote it as if when I'm in a moment of despair or down, that this is a book I can turn to, because it's filled with quotes, it's filled with pictures. I'm there to kind of help people laugh, but also to find the reason of their purpose. So it's like kind of turning their hearts to God again, because if you don't have some foundation, then what's the purpose and reason for what we do here?
Right.
And so it's just more geared to the one who suffers, to let them know that they are important, they are needed, and helping people who don't really suffer it, but who have someone who suffers.
Exactly.
It teaches those people things not to say, things to say, things,
okay.
An understanding of what their mind is like versus what a healthy mind person, because it's not the same. So,
name of the book again?
You Are Needed.
You Are Needed, and you have written that's in Barnes and Noble, and you've been a part of that. You understand that, and it's written for those that may be trying to help, or maybe what are some of the things that you don't say? We've talked a lot about me doing my goofy pull-ups or push-ups or whatever I'm doing.
I love that though.
Whatever we're doing, there are some times when I can't find the right words to express how important every little soul out there is. Last night was a vigil for a 13-year-old boy, football player, just the cutest little guy over at the Cottonwood High. They had a candlelight vigil for this little guy who died from suicide. 13 years old. That's my Rogan's age, and that's the thing we're dealing with. We're dealing with young people, old people, everybody. What are some of the things not to say? What are some of the triggers?
For me, some of the triggers that were put on me were when someone compares your life to someone else. Like, it's not that hard. Like, there's people that live under the viaduct that, they seem, they have it worse than you. So, just trying to minimize what they're going through and not acknowledging what they are going through, because we all have different perspectives.
Sure.
And so what's hard for someone may not be hard for another person.
So I guess you're explaining it great, but so making it individual to them. Yeah. Even though it may not be individual, but it is individual to them. Okay, other things?
Don't tell them just to be happy. Don't tell people just to be happy, because in a mind that, in a depressed mind, they try to be happy. And
right.
Sometimes that can actually offset them to say, well, I do try. So then why do I want to try? Because they can't. They
right.
don't feel it. And are you talking about as far as
they
like
may
what,
not? Yeah, they may not
okay.
even know what happy is, right?
Exactly.
They may not even know what really. They may be so far removed. They don't know what moves them, that gets them out of that and finding joy. What is that joy? What is happy?
So one thing that I did write in my book on, like, learning how to find your happiness, one tip was, like, if I find one God's creature, one thing that I love the mountains. Every time I look at the mountains, how do I feel? If you can find something in your life that makes you feel somewhat happy, then you focus on that. And then just learning how to take the little things and the little steps. But, it's just because it's such a dark place to be that, I find that sometimes they're not huggable people when people are depressed, because they fight you off and they don't want you. But just to hold them and be there, because if you force yourself on them, they're going to give in, and that's what they actually need too, because everybody wants to be needed, everybody wants to be loved. Those are the two basic needs of life. And because it's kind of the difference of, oh, well, let me know if I can help you in any way, and you walk off. Well, are you going to call me and say, Yeah, I remember that request, or even say, no, I want to help you. Let's go get some food. You need food. You know what I mean? It's a proactive and a non-proactive. And,
Right.
You know, when you know that those are self-hurt. I mean, and it shouldn't be a duty thing. It should be because you just genuinely care about people, because they can sense that you're a project or not. So, I don't know. There's just so many factors, because it really, in degrees and levels of what someone experiences, but overall, I think the underlying issues are the same.
So I take it you've been able to have some impact on people, but suicide has affected your family, people you know, depression, things like that. You know, what do you tell to somebody out there that might be watching this that's in crisis? And then what would you tell a parent or a grandparent or a friend? I'm always trying to, you know, I'm always trying when I'm doing my pull-ups to, you know, hey, say hi. But I think you can be a little more specific in some cases and say, you know, what signs can you look for? Little teeny signs, and say, hey, I really need to focus in on that.
One of the biggest things is withdrawal. They can withdraw. Anger is a secondary emotion to the bigger picture. So if someone's always angry, you'll have to question why, and usually they're not going to open up to you.
Right.
But you know, I have a pretty good perception about people. Like, I listen to them, like, okay, I know when she's upset, happy, she really likes ice cream or whatever, and just saying, hey, let's go eat a bowl of ice cream.
Right.
If you can find and learn about that person through an indirect way and not the problem, because you really don't want to say, oh, I hear you have, I mean, you don't want to say to them, like, you're having a really bad day. Well, you can say that, but it's not like, I think you have depression. I don't like labels. I don't like people saying, oh, you're bipolar, you're this. But, you know, to tell somebody, just spend time. I think time is the most critical thing that you can do, whether it be that if they're going to bed, you just go lay down with them until you know that they're asleep. Give them that time, because they're isolating themselves so much, and it's only going to escalate more without that. But it's some of the experiences.
And those people that, you know, what can somebody, you know, we're doing this thing every day. It's the 60th day that we've been doing this suicide. We started with veterans. Somebody challenged me, and then I just kept it going for all suicide, and a lot of other people are doing it as well. What can people do to just continue the awareness? I mean, what can people do on a daily basis to, you know, just a simple thing, other than posting videos on Facebook? What can people do? You know, how do they, you know, there's some little things that they can do to kind of understand it a little bit better, or help the effort.
That's like, because you got your AFSU, you have your HOPE program, you have, you know, your suicide walk awareness walks, but just like even Googling, I mean, there's so much information out on the internet. But I was going to say, just like in a community, because I wanted to touch base with this real quick, because we had a friend who, he was an all-star baseball player, 2 different teams, immaculate, just high pressure, and he ended up he's in the story of my book, and you would never suspect this kid would ever do what he did, because they put so much pressure on themselves. So it's kind of hard to diagnose, you know, what's up. It's like, you know, it's like, oh wow, the captain of the football team in my high school years did it too, you know, and but you know, just, you got to just get out there and be proactive, even just with friends, and look at people more, because the more that you personally engage yourself in other people's lives, then it's like, if I hear of someone like having cancer, well, I want to know what that cancer's like. What are they feeling? What are they, you know, that you can educate yourself in doing that, and then that way, the more that you see, then you're just going to have a different outlook, because you have more knowledge.
You know what I've learned over the last little while is that if we don't talk about it, if we just talk about it more, there's so many things we talk about, but we don't talk about suicide.
No.
We don't, because it's taboo, and the media, in the regular media, it's taboo, and family, it's taboo, but it happens. And if we don't talk about it, if we don't educate our children a little bit, or at least find times to talk to them and talk to the old folks, talk to the people that, engage, everybody helping each other. If we don't continue the dialogue and talking about it, I think we can make a difference that way, but I don't think by just hiding it's going to help.
No, and keeping it just, you don't want like you said, you don't want other people in the family to know, because then I think with the person who suffers, it just makes them more like, this is a secret.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I have a bad day. Someone presented me with saying, you need to go get psychiatric help. And I'm like, I'm a healthy person who has a sad day. I have a bad day. I have a frustrated day. That we all, to some degree, have depression. We all, to some degree, have some sort that we could all be classified as something. So if we make it that it's like,
we could all be classified as something. That's right.
This is life. And
right.
Some have it harder than others. Why? It's because it's something that they have to learn how to deal with and accept. And I think once you accept yourself too, that those problems diminish because it's no longer that issue.
Right.
And you're letting it go. But
wow. Bam. Bam. We're going to have her on again. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, but we do want to talk about suicide again. We do want to talk about, homelessness in that level of people that are really kind of on the borderline. This was not a victimization type of a show. That she doesn't appear to me as being a victim. I don't think I've ever felt like a victim. It's just the circumstance that you're in. And I think society, we're not looking for a handout. What you're not looking for, but you're looking for a little bit of understanding in society that this population is larger than most people realize, and they want to help out. We need to help each other out some way, somehow. Advocating the middle class, jobs, things like that, the economy. So I appreciate you coming on. You're going to be on again, I hope. And the name of your book and Barnes & Noble, right? Go out and buy. How much is the book at Barnes & Noble?
It's about like $10.99.
Okay.
It's also on Amazon and Amazon Kindle.
Okay.
So it's an ebook
right.
too. So
okay.
Runs about roughly $10. Depends on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Shoot. Author. No, thanks for everybody for watching, and we'll have another show tomorrow. I'm sure, I hope, in case there's some reschedule, but I want to thank Christi for coming on, and remember that it's all about the Ben. When I say it's all about the Ben, here you've got, this warrior here, homeless, but has kids and prospects of jobs, and really think about people like this, and remember what she said about, we all have something. That doesn't mean we're bad people. It doesn't mean that, and the whole depression and darkness thing, the suicide thing, if we can just keep talking about it, let's just keep talking about it. I think that's the best thing.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.